we have to be confident in our pricing and why we're doing something. Why am I podcasting? Well, I'm sharing my knowledge. I'm doing this for a reason. I'm doing this to help you. And I hope that you will then go, okay, actually, I will give Geraldine some money. I'll join her Monday group, because that's the best place for me to interact with other practitioners, to get the support that I need with my clients, because I've got the messenger chat going on. Mentoring with Geraldine is a bite-sized practitioner podcast for naturopaths, nutritionists, herbalists, coaches, and practitioners. This podcast responds directly to the needs of you, the practicing natural therapist. We have interviews during the holiday season and business and mindset support each week, so you'll get the variety you need to enjoy and stay motivated in your practice. Don't forget to subscribe to receive the weekly episodes. And if you want to connect with me, always check the show notes, because that's where you'll find the links to book appointments and, of course, to join the Academy, the membership group, where there's constant connection and community with like-minded practitioners. Now, let's get started. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Mentoring with Geraldine and the Bite Size Podcast. How the devil are you? So during last week's podcast, I wrote myself a note about charging, because I think that's really important, knowing about charging and about fees. And right at the end, I touched on our T's and C's as well, didn't I? So I thought, let's knock that out in this week's episode. So when we think about charging for our therapy services, I think I'll just call them therapy services, because you might be a massage therapist is part of what you do, or a greater part than your naturopathy or nutrition services, or you might be trying to combine them, or you might be just coming out into the market and about to create. So what is it that we've got to think about? Because we have to put it out more than just thinking about our own worth, because our own worth might actually be quite low. We might not think of ourselves as being valuable at all. So we have to think about the quality of our service, the client's needs, which client base are we going for, market standards. There's a bigger picture than just our internal feelings, and our internal feelings can be imposter syndrome style feelings. So they can be huge feelings of, am I worth it? Am I of value? But we need to look outside at market and what's going on there as well. So what's your value proposition? So, your quality of service, your client outcomes. You might not have many client outcomes yet. So where do you position yourself if you haven't actually got any Google reviews, or you've never had any clients, or you've only had clients in college or uni? Time investment, how many fees? Have you got your HEX fees? What have you got that in the background that you're paying off as well? Your types of service. Is it going to make a difference that you're working online rather than having rooms? Working online, we still have lots to pay. Yes, we earn more money because we're just paying for like Zoom or whatever it is we're using. So we're paying for a service, or we're having to have really short appointments to do it for free, and that looks really unprofessional. We're storing our notes somewhere, which you have to do whether you're in a physical premises or you're online. I used to have slightly cheaper appointments online, but then I began to, why am I doing that? I'm still using my brain for all of this. It doesn't really matter whether the person comes in to see me or not. I'm actually giving them convenience by being online. They don't have to drive to me. There's no time. I used to see a Bowen therapist. She was amazing. She was a medial massage therapist who used Bowen as part of her treatment. But I had to drive half an hour to see her. Then I'd see her for an hour. Then I'd have to drive half an hour home. It's a 2-hour appointment, and I'm busy. So I now see a myotherapist who's a medial massage therapist and a myotherapist, and she's a 20-minute journey, and I'm about to move house, and she'll be a 10-minute journey. So that reduces the amount of time that I'm kind of offline, because at the end of those therapies, I'm actually exhausted because, there's all the toxins and everything that have to come out. They've realigned my body. I end up exhausted at the end of it. So I'm pretty useless post-massage. So it kind of takes my day, really. If I have a lunchtime appointment, that's the end of the day done for me. So we've got to think about from a perspective of, should it cost less being online? No, probably not. So we've got time investment for them, time investment for you, the type of service. So if it's a physical therapy, pretty much everybody's on par with each other. Everybody's charging about the same thing for a massage. So are you going to be the same as everybody else? I mean, I see my massage therapist. If she was to put her prices up, I wouldn't bat an eyelid. I'd still pay her because she's important to my physical well-being. But she's not going to put them up by like $100. She'll only put them up by like $5 as everything else is going up. And I'll be like, well, that's fine. And urgency, I guess, as well of a client's needs. So if you're working perhaps you're doing acupuncture and you're in the baby space, so that would mean that person has their injection to ovulate and then or they've had an implanted egg or something, and then they've got to race to you and you've got to be available immediately. So that's an urgency for that client need because acupuncture and implantation work well together. So, you could charge more for that. There's things that we can charge more for because they're outside of our times, and it might be that they're getting implanted at 5 p.m. so they can't see you till 6 p.m. You're working late when you wouldn't normally have a late night, that sort of thing. So what do we have to do? We have to research local rates and client affordability. Now, because we work online, we're still going to have more locals than non-locals generally, okay? Because one local will find you and then they will tell their friends. So you'll have more people from your town. I won't necessarily say from your suburb, but from your town, okay? Especially if you're online. They're like, okay, well, she's in Melbourne. I'm in Melbourne. You might be close to Geelong and they might be way on the other side. And it would take them an hour, more than an hour, to get across Melbourne to get to you. But they're still going, oh, you're in Melbourne. So it might be that that's their preferred person, even though they're not going to actually come in and see you. The other thing is your target audience. So I saw a lot of children. Children generally, parents are expecting to pay less for their child than they pay for themselves. And that's because generally a child only has one thing wrong with it. It has earache, or it has a chest infection, or it has eczema. It's not like an adult who has everything going on. They might have, that person I talked about last week with the rosacea, the high blood pressure, the bad guts, all of the things. It takes longer. So I didn't mind giving a discount to see the child. But then the mother would say, well, I need to talk about me. And they start talking about themselves. I'm like, well, that's a different appointment and I charge them more. But we've got to respect that people have children and children cost money and they've got to earn that money. And yes, they wanted those children and they want those children healthy. So we have to think about, well, can I give a $5 discount or a $10 discount to someone with a healthcare card or that group of people that I want to see? Or how can I see them differently? Can I see them in a group? Can I see a bunch of kids? Maybe you're working in the respiratory space. And so you get a bunch of kids who suffer with asthma to give them specific respiratory exercises. So they join, so you just say to the parent, hey, they have to come to the respiratory group every Tuesday after school and we'll do this and that with them. And the parents be like, yeah, that's fine. And you say, well, it's much cheaper. It's $15 rather than a $90 appointment. They're like, yep, we're in. So you could have a sliding scale maybe, but I've always been very specific with my fees. I know a colleague of mine, she was very specific. So it was like the first half hour is this much, then each 15 minutes after that is this much. So people sort of got on with it. She said, I don't have anybody hanging around because they know they're going to get charged after that half an hour, but she got her appointments down. A lot of you, I won't say us because it's not me anymore, but a lot of people are still doing that hour and a half appointment. And so you can only have a set first appointment, second appointment sort of basis. Are you willing to negotiate your fees? So I had a sign up saying that children and concession card holders could have a discount, please ask. One gentleman said to me, oh, I'm a retiree. Can I have a discount? I said, well, I don't have a background income. Do you need that concession? Because if you don't, I'd rather not give it to you. And he said, oh, no, that's fine. I don't need it. And then I walked him out to his Mercedes. He didn't need it. So whereas I had another lady come in and she said, oh, concession. And I said, if you need it. And she said, no, I'll be fine. And then I discovered that, well, actually, she was one who deserved it. And so in subsequent appointments, I just gave it to her naturally. All right. She wanted my advice. She wanted to pay the money. She did all of the things. Such a good client. I was willing to give her that concession fee because she was so good. Nothing was ever too hard for her. She would just get on and do the things I said she would make it happen for herself to improve her health. So we've got to think about how we're going to figure out those payments, but how we can set our boundaries. Because at the end of the day, if they turn around and they said, yeah, I don't want to pay for this, or I'm not paying, how are you going to feel about that? This is your skill. This is your life. We need to be remunerated properly, but it needs to be within the realm of possibility for those people we see and for ourselves, so that we don't feel out of the mix. We don't want to undervalue ourselves, and we have to recognize our worth and the value that we bring to our clients. And as you get better at what you do, and as you see more clients, then your worth does increase and you can charge more. And fine, your HEX fees or your college fees might have massively reduced. You would have paid all of them off by the time you feel really confident and specialized and niched and your books are full. But it is worth putting up the price then, or creating those group courses so that people are, especially if you've got a wait list, if you create a short course for people to do before they see you, they've got something to do in the interim. They can sign up while they're on your wait list. They can be doing something on that wait list rather than just waiting and then realizing they can't get in and going somewhere else. So I've got a dermatology appointment. I asked for my GP for a dermatology referral, and she was like, have you picked anywhere? And I said, well, there's this place not far from me. They seem okay. And go there. And she's given me the referral. Now I can't get in until September. So I'm going to have to find another dermatologist because that's too far away. And so I'm going to have to go back to my GP and say, I need another referral to a different practice, please, which is really annoying. But in the meantime, if that practice had something else that I could do, if they'd sent me hey, here's your intake form, here's your lifestyle changes and things that you can be doing in the interim while you wait for your appointment, I might be more than willing to say, hey, yeah, I'll wait till September. The fact is, there's not enough dermatologists out there anyway, and they don't need more clients. So don't worry, it's not overly fast. I'm just going to go to somebody else. These are the things we can be doing if we're full and we can't see as many people. I mean, I have a set number of people I'm willing to see. Even though I work from home, I have my own office that I can access all of the time. I still have a set number of people that I see each week. So we have to set those boundaries around when we're going to see people, how much we're going to charge, who is going to get the cheaper price, if anyone. If you were working specifically in perimenopause, then you won't have a concession fee happening there because those perimenopausals are all working, right? Whereas the child or the retiree, if you're working with those people, they might need a little bit of a discount. So you need to be confident in your pricing because you're billing people, you're taking that money. So you need to be confident in what you ask them and how, shall I put this on your credit card? Pay for your next appointment now? We'll do this now. Also, for a client, when they pay in advance, it means that if they've paid you and they're not seeing you for, say, a week or a fortnight, then in that time, a new paycheck for them has come in. And that is going to help them when they go to buy their supplements because it's actually spreading your cost. Whereas back in the day, people would come to see me. I had my own pharmacy, really. I had a whole wall of supplements and herbs and everything else for everyone. And so the client was there. I was charging for the appointment and I was selling them supplements. So their bill was creeping up. Whereas now they pay me, then they wait, then they get from Araya, they get their prescription, and then they purchase from Araya. So it's that, what's it called, when you're spreading it out. So you're spreading out their payments as well. And that does help them because it means it goes from maybe pay packet to pay packet or pay off the credit card in the between times. So be confident in your pricing. Don't apologize for charging what you're worth. So the first appointment, people have to pay upfront, but subsequent appointments, people pay on the day because I've got their credit card details on Stripe, so they can pay on the day. People don't miss my appointments anymore, so that's not really a big deal. So I charge them at the end of the appointment. So I never apologize. At the end of the appointment, I go, oh, now it gets the good bit for me because I get to charge you. And I might even sing a little ditty. I do the, when will I see you again? I make them smile when I do those things because where I'm uncomfortable, I change the way I speak it rather than showing any discomfort. I mean, I don't feel discomfort taking their money. They've just had my brain. You're getting my brain and my voice and everything on the podcast. You're not paying me. I'm not getting any money for this. There's no advertising. I keep getting emails. Hey, I can do advertising in your podcast. I'm like, no, I don't really like podcasts like that. So I'll leave mine as it is, but it means there's no monetary value for me here. This is costing me money. So we have to be confident in our pricing and why we're doing something. Why am I podcasting? Well, I'm sharing my knowledge. I'm doing this for a reason. I'm doing this to help you. And I hope that you will then go, okay, actually, I will give Geraldine some money or join her Monday group, because that's the best place for me to interact with other practitioners, to get the support that I need with my clients, because I've got the messenger chat going on. It's not very much money to pay her once a month and to get these incredible resources from her. So what have we got for pricing strategies? So we can think about, well, we've got fixed fees, haven't we? That's what most of us do. We have first appointment cost and follow-up appointment costs. Now, when or if we get health rebates back, then the first appointment, you will have done it, been to the dentist, and first appointment, you get more back, right, than you would for subsequent appointments. And it's the same for us. And also for that first appointment, you're doing a lot more because you're doing all the research, you're doing all the study, all the background stuff. But you could actually turn it into perhaps a subscription model or a package deal. So it's not as obvious that the first appointment is more expensive. You could just say, normally I charge this, this, and this. You buy this package, and what you get is this bonus. All right. I don't take money off. I give bonuses on top. I include analyses in it, a hair analysis in it. So think about how can you do packages like this naturopath, the hourly rate, she's cutting it's half an hour is this amount, and every 15 minutes after that is this amount. So think about how does it suit you best to do it. And I'm really up for package deals. If people aren't coming back for follow-up appointments, then create a package, because that's a learning curve for you. And for them, they're going to buy a package, they're going to come back, and then, or if they cancel or reschedule, you can ask them why. So we've got some considerations as well. Ethical. Is it ethical? Is it fair what you're charging, and is it transparent? Okay. And it doesn't exploit our clients. So we do have to think, how transparent is my pricing? Like, you get a workman come out and the workman says, oh, it's $1,000. I don't know if you've noticed, but every workman, oh, that's $1,000. Oh, that's another $1,000. Well, we're really up into the 10,000s now with workmen. So we're not putting GST on our consults. There's no GST on consults. So doctors don't have GST on consults. We don't have GST on consults. I do have GST, on mentoring and things like that. There's, goods and services tax on these other aspects. So I include that in my fee. So when you work with me, you're not going to see GST on top. I do put it on top for the retreats. It's the only thing I put it on top for, because it actually goes into a different account. But I only do one of those once in a blue moon, so it's not really going to affect you. But with everything else I do, GST is included. I never put it on top, because you get that bill from the plumber and it's $200, and then it's actually $220, and so on and so forth. I'm transparent, very transparent. I show everything. This is how much my appointments cost. If you do this hair analysis, that's what it's going to cost. But I'm going to give you a discount on the hair analysis or something, because we make a profit on those. Or I'm going to include this thing for you as a bonus. All right. We don't want the money and the cost of the appointment to become a source of conflict or tension within this therapeutic relationship. So we've got to be really careful about that. We've got to be careful how we talk to our clients about money. They've got to know how much it is prior to coming, and they've got to know what they're getting for that money. And professional development, that's something we have to do. We have to keep up our CPE or CPD, whatever letters you're using right now. We've got to keep up to date in what's going on, especially in our niche fields. Listening to these podcasts gives you CPE, because it's really important, because they maintain our knowledge, but they also enhance our value, because we're able to talk to the latest, we're able to understand the latest information and what's going on. And when we think about how much, I think I've talked about working it out. You work out there's 52 weeks in a year, but you actually only work 40 weeks a year. You're actually only working 3 days a week of those 40 weeks a year, et cetera, and so forth. And then we have to factor in the cost of running the practice. So we've got insurance, we've got marketing, we've got office space, we've got Zoom, we've got using systems. We've got all of the systems that we have to use to make sure that everything flows. Where are you storing your notes? If you're using Simple Clinic, that costs money. All of these things cost money, and they're great systems. They're wonderful systems, but they do cost money. So we do have to factor all of these things in when we work out how much we're going to charge our clients. I hope that's been useful for you. I'm going to stop there. Sick of talking about money. So I hope you have an absolutely brilliant rest of day, and I look forward to catching up with you really soon. See ya. Thanks so much for joining me today. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast for the weekly episodes. If you'd like even more support and learning, then the Academy is for you. Here you'll find part 2 of the herbal discussions, more clinical learning, and case studies to support your clients in practice. Bye for now.